Hey everyone. I don't really know where to start, but I've been reading posts here for a while, and I never thought I'd be the one writing one of my own. I guess I'm just looking for some clarity, or maybe a reality check, because my mind has been spinning for days. My wife, let's call her Lana, and I have been married for 8 years. We've got a good life, or at least, it used to feel that way. A cozy house, 2 kids, a dog that thinks he owns the place. From the outside, I know we look happy. Inside, though, something's been off. It started with little things. She became more distant, always tired, always distracted. She started staying later at the gym, sometimes saying she was grabbing a quick coffee after. Her phone, which used to sit on the table, started following her everywhere. Even to the bathroom. She changed her passcode. She laughed at texts she wouldn't show me. At first, I told myself I was overthinking. Everyone needs space, right? But then the small changes turned into walls. She stopped asking about my day. When I tried to plan a weekend together, she said, "You know I've got my own life, too." It didn't sound like a joke. Still, I pushed the doubts away until last weekend. We'd taken a short trip with the kids, nothing fancy. On Sunday evening, after we got home, Lana went upstairs to unpack, and I stayed behind to clean the car. There were snack wrappers, a few empty water bottles, her gym bag on the floor by the seat. When I picked it up to move it, I heard a small click inside, something hard and loose. I opened the side pocket, and there it was. A tiny camera memory card. It wasn't ours. We haven't owned a camera in years, we just use our phones. I rolled it in my fingers, trying to remember if maybe it was from an old trip or something, but no. I'd never seen it before. I don't know what made me do it, but I went inside, sat down at my desk, and slid it into my laptop. I thought maybe it was nothing. Maybe I'd open it and see random photos, gym selfies, our kids, something innocent. But the moment the folder opened, I froze. There were dozens of photos. Not from our trip. Not from anything I recognized. Weekend getaways. Hotel rooms. Cafes. Some with her in them, smiling, laughing, holding a coffee in a city we'd never been to together. And in a few of them, there was a reflection. A man's reflection. Someone I knew. Someone who shouldn't have been there. My best friend. And that's where everything started to crack. I stared at the screen for a long time before I could even click. The folder was filled with thumbnails, tiny squares of moments I didn't recognize but couldn't look away from. The first few were easy to dismiss. Lana sitting at a cafe table, a latte in front of her, sunlight streaming across her face. She looked happy, too happy. Happier than I'd seen her in months. Then came the ones that made my stomach twist. A cozy little cabin, snow outside the window. A dinner table set for 2 wine glasses, candles. And there, in the edge of the mirror hanging behind her, the faint outline of a man holding the camera. At first, I thought it couldn't be. Maybe it was just someone nearby. Maybe I was seeing what I expected to see. But the more I looked, the harder it became to deny it. The broad shoulders. The jacket. The haircut. It was Nate. My best friend. I clicked through more photos, each one like a punch to the chest. Lana in a car I didn't recognize, laughing at something outside the frame. A hotel lobby I'd never been in. A beach I didn't know she'd visited. The timestamps confused me. Some of the photos were dated months ago, on weekends when she told me she was visiting her sister. Others lined up with nights she'd said she was staying late at the gym. But one set of photos stopped me cold. Lana standing in front of a fountain, wearing a red dress I'd never seen before. She was holding a man's hand, only his sleeve and wrist visible. The watch on it? The same one I'd helped Nate pick out last Christmas. My chest tightened. The room felt smaller. I scrolled faster, searching for context, something that made sense, but the deeper I went, the stranger it got. Some photos had captions. Short phrases where file names should have been. Sunset confession. Our secret spot. He'll never know. I wanted to believe they meant nothing. That maybe the memory card wasn't hers, maybe it belonged to someone else, maybe I jumped to conclusions. But then I reached the last photo. A mirror selfie. Lana, smiling, holding her phone up. And behind her, reflected in the glass, Nate. Clear as day. My hands were shaking when I pulled the card out. My heart felt like it was caught between disbelief and fury. I didn't know what to do. Should I confront her? Should I call him? Should I pretend I hadn't seen it until I had more proof? All I knew was that something real had shattered, and I couldn't tell if I was angry, heartbroken, or just lost. That night, I barely slept. I lay awake beside her, listening to her breathing, wondering if every soft word, every smile, every love you had been real or just part of a story she'd been living with someone else. And when her phone buzzed at midnight, and she flipped it face down without looking, I knew I had to find out the truth. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual, with my head pounding from lack of sleep. Lana was still curled up on her side of the bed, phone under the pillow like a secret she was guarding in her dreams. I went downstairs, made coffee I couldn't drink, and opened my laptop again. I needed to look at those photos in the daylight, when my mind was clearer, when I could tell myself I wasn't just seeing what I wanted or feared to see. I laid everything out like evidence in a case file, the folder, the timestamps, the backgrounds. Something about them didn't sit right. The first photo, the one at the cafe, the date said February 18th. That day, I remembered, we'd been snowed in. Our car battery had died. She couldn't have gone anywhere. But there she was, sitting in sunlight, in a sleeveless dress. The cabin photo was dated March 4th, the weekend she'd claimed she was visiting her sister. Except, her sister had posted an Instagram story that same weekend, from another city entirely. And the beach pictures, those were stamped May. But the trees behind her weren't even in bloom yet. I started to feel sick. If these were real, the timelines didn't make sense. If they were fake, then why? Who would go through that much effort? I zoomed in on the images, looking for details. Signs. Anything. In one photo, a hotel logo reflected in a window. I googled it, turns out it's in another state. 6 hours away. Lana had never mentioned going there. And then, in the fountain photo, the one where she held someone's hand, the reflection of a building gave it away. That fountain wasn't anywhere near us. If she'd really been in all these places, I would have known. I check our bank statements, our calendars. Nothing matched. No travel charges, no bookings, no evidence at all that these trips ever happened. So how did these photos exist? I leaned back in my chair, staring at her smiling face frozen in pixels. Was it possible she staged them? But for who? For what reason? When Lana came downstairs, I closed the laptop. She was dressed for the gym, hair tied up, face calm. "Morning," she said, grabbing her keys. "Morning," I echoed, watching her carefully. She leaned in for a kiss, automatic, routine, and for a moment, I wondered if she could feel the tension, the way my chest tightened. As she walked out the door, I saw her gym bag hanging from her shoulder, lighter now. The side pocket zipped shut. She must have noticed it was missing. And that meant she knew. Lana came home later that day, still in her gym clothes, hair damp like she'd showered there. She tossed her bag down by the door a little too carelessly and gave me a quick, practiced smile. "Hey," she said, "you're home early." I wasn't. She just wasn't used to me being in the living room waiting. "How was the gym?" I asked. "Fine." "Why?" It came out fast, defensive. Like she'd rehearsed the tone before walking in. I shrugged. "Just asking." She bent down to unzip the side pocket of her gym bag, the exact one I'd opened the night before. When her hand came up empty, her expression faltered for a heartbeat. Then it smoothed into something I couldn't read. "You lose something?" I asked. She zipped it shut. "No. Just looking." The next few seconds were quiet, too quiet. She straightened up, crossed her arms, and studied me. "You've been acting weird lately." I laughed once, short and hollow. "Me? Yeah. Watching me. Asking questions. Snooping." She tilted her head. "Did you go through my stuff, Ben?" The way she said it, calm, almost gentle, made it worse. I opened my mouth, but she cut me off before I could answer. "You know how much that bothers me. You always assume the worst." "I didn't assume anything," I said. "But maybe you can explain why you have a memory card full of photos from places you've never told me about." Her eyes narrowed, just slightly. "What are you talking about?" "Don't do that," I said quietly. "Don't pretend you don't know." She sighed, crossing the room and sitting down across from me, her voice softening like a teacher correcting a child. "Ben, if you're so desperate to find problems, you'll create them. You've been stressed, working late, overthinking everything. You probably saw something online and made up a story in your head. I saw you, Lana. You and Nate." That hit her, but not the way I expected. She blinked, then smiled. Actually smiled. "Oh," she said slowly. "So that's what this is about. You think I'm seeing your best friend?" Her tone dripped with amusement, like the whole thing was absurd. "You really need to talk to someone," she added. "This jealousy thing, it's not healthy." Every word twisted tighter. Somehow, she'd flipped it. I was no longer the one betrayed, I was the paranoid husband inventing ghosts. "You found that card," she said, standing up. "And instead of asking, you built this fantasy. Do you realize how that makes me feel?" I wanted to shout, to pull the images back up, to shove them in front of her. But she was already walking away, shaking her head, muttering, "Unbelievable." And as the door closed behind her, I realized something terrifying. She wasn't scared that I'd seen the photos. She was expecting me to. After that argument, I couldn't think straight. Lana had walked out calm, collected, while I sat there replaying her words like a broken record. The way she smiled, the way she turned everything around, it didn't feel like guilt. It felt like control. That night, when she went to shower, I opened my laptop again. I had to look at the photos one more time, this time not as a husband, but like someone solving a puzzle. I zoomed in, frame by frame. Her cafe photo again, the one that first made my stomach drop. There, in the corner, a sign with a date on it, April 12th. But the photo's timestamp said February. Weird. I checked another, the cabin photo. Snow outside, sure. But the trees? All green. The kind of green you don't see until spring. Then something even stranger, in the mirror photo with Nate's reflection, the glass had a warped edge, like the reflection had been pasted in. My pulse quickened. Could these be edited? Staged? And if so, why would she do that? To make me think she was cheating? To punish me for something? I didn't even realize she was behind me until I heard her voice. Still obsessing? I slammed the laptop shut. She leaned on the doorway, arms crossed, a faint smile on her lips. "You really should stop digging, Ben. You won't like what you find." And then she turned off the light, leaving me in the dark with more questions than answers. The next morning, I woke up with one goal: prove what was real and what wasn't. Lana left early again, claiming a new spin class. I waited 5 minutes, then opened the laptop. I copied every photo into a new folder and started digging for patterns, reflections, signs, anything. And then, in the cabin photo, I noticed something small on the nightstand, a receipt, just barely visible. I zoomed in. The name printed on it wasn't hers. It was mine. Same last name, same initials. A hotel I'd never stayed at, but apparently, I'd booked it. My heart dropped. Either someone used my name, or she did. I checked another photo, the beach one. A blurry shadow stretched beside her. I compared it to Nate's silhouette in an old picture. The heights didn't match. The body shape didn't match. So who was it? And why would she go through this kind of trouble? That's when I saw it buried deep in the folder, one video file. It was short. Just Lana's voice. "You'll find this soon. I know you will. Maybe now you'll finally tell me the truth." My blood ran cold. What truth? What did she think I was hiding? Before I could replay it, I heard the garage door. She was back. I yanked the drive out and shoved it into my pocket, heart pounding. Because if this was a trap, I'd already stepped into it. Lana walked into the kitchen like nothing had happened, humming softly, a smoothie in hand. She glanced at me and smiled, calm, almost amused. "Rough night?" I swallowed hard. "Yeah. Didn't sleep much." "Maybe you should try trusting me," she said, sipping through her straw. "You'd rest easier." Her words hung in the air, heavy with something I couldn't name. I wanted to ask about the video, about the line she'd recorded, "Tell me the truth." But I couldn't. Not yet. Instead, I watched her move around the kitchen, her calmness unnatural. She wasn't nervous, not even curious if I'd seen more. That scared me more than if she'd screamed. Finally, she turned to me. "You know," she said casually, "sometimes people project. They see guilt everywhere because they're hiding something themselves." My chest tightened. "What are you trying to say?" She tilted her head. "Nothing. Unless you've got something to confess?" I froze. Her smirk widened. "Didn't think so." Then she grabbed her keys, kissed me on the cheek like nothing was wrong, and left. I stood there, pulse racing, staring at the door. She wasn't just deflecting anymore. She was baiting me. And for the first time, I wondered, what if she wasn't lying about everything? What if this was never about catching her, but about what she thought she could catch me hiding? I couldn't focus at work. Every word she'd said replayed in my head, "Unless you've got something to confess." Confess what? What did she think I'd done? That afternoon, I called Nate. He didn't pick up. I texted him, "Need to talk. Urgent." No reply. I checked his socials, quiet for days. The silence felt like another piece of the puzzle sliding into place. When I got home, Lana's car was gone. The house felt too still, the kind of quiet that hums in your ears. I sat at my desk, staring at the memory card, debating if I should plug it back in. Curiosity won. I opened it again, this time searching beyond the obvious. I found a hidden folder buried inside the main one. Inside, duplicates of some photos, but this time with faint markings in the corners, coordinates. I copied one into Google Maps. It led to the exact coffee shop where Nate and I always met after work. Another photo. Another location. Our favorite hiking trail. All places I'd been. My stomach twisted. These weren't random backdrops, they were spots tied to me. The message wasn't "I'm cheating." It was "I know where you've been." And the way she'd said "You'll finally tell me the truth" suddenly hit different. She wasn't just accusing me of jealousy. She was accusing me of something else, something I didn't even understand yet. And if she thought she was trapping me, I needed to know why. I drove straight to Nate's house after work. I didn't text, didn't call, just showed up. His truck was in the driveway, lights on inside. My pulse hammered as I climbed out of the car. He opened the door before I could knock, eyes wide. "Ben? What's going on?" "We need to talk," I said. "Now." He stepped aside, wary. "Sure. Come in." The house smelled like paint and stale coffee. He looked nervous, fidgety. I didn't waste time. "I found a memory card," I said. "Photos. Of Lana. Of you." His face drained of color. "Wait, what?" "Don't act surprised, Nate. Cabins. Cafes. You're in them." He shook his head fast. "Ben, I swear, I haven't seen her outside of." "Then how are you in the photos?" He blinked. Photos? What photos? I watched him carefully. His confusion didn't look fake. His hands trembled. She told me you'd find them, he whispered. My chest tightened. She talked to you? He nodded. She said you'd been hiding something. That this was the only way to make you admit it. Admit what? I snapped. He rubbed a hand over his face. She thinks you're the one who cheated, Ben. That you've been lying to her. She told me the pictures would smoke you out. For a moment, the room tilted. Everything I'd thought I knew flipped upside down. She set it all up, Nate said quietly. Because she thinks you did the same thing to her. And in that instant, I realized this wasn't revenge. It was retaliation. I waited for her that night, no TV, no distractions, just silence and the card on the table between us. When Lana walked in, she froze. Her eyes flicked from the card to me. So, I said quietly, you wanted me to find it. She didn't deny it. She set her bag down and sighed. I had to. You weren't talking to me. You kept pulling away, working late, acting distant. I thought you were hiding something. I was hiding doubt, I said. Not another person. She folded her arms. You think I didn't notice the lies? The weekends you worked but left no receipts, no calls? I thought, maybe if you saw how it felt. So you built a fake affair? I cut in. With my best friend? Tears welled in her eyes, but she didn't reach for me. You were slipping away, Ben. I wanted you to care again. I leaned back, exhausted. You didn't fix anything. You just broke the last piece of trust we had. We sat there in the quiet, two strangers staring at the wreckage of what used to be a marriage. I don't know what happens next. Counseling? Separation? I'm still reeling from what she did, and from the fact that part of me understands why she did it. But understanding isn't forgiveness. So here I am, Reddit, not sure if this is the end or just the fallout. What would you do if your spouse staged an affair to test your loyalty? Can something like this even be repaired? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I really need some advice.